G'day everyone, Chris here from Primex Sports with the Super Rugby preview. Well, cracking round behind us with a few interesting results. The Waratahs continued on their run. Crusaders' winning run came to a halt at the hands of the Highlanders. And the Sunwolves managed to chalk a draw against the Stormers at home in what was a really interesting result. The Blues also managed to drop a comprehensive loss to the Lions over in South Africa, while the Jaguares put up a valiant fight at home but weren't enough of a match for the Sharks. Certainly some cracking matchups with some real interesting implications on the finals this weekend. So let's get into this week's rugby. First up, 5:30 Friday night, AMI Stadium in Christchurch. The Crusaders host the Waratahs in what's an absolute bumper clash. This round's bookended by two really cracking clashes. I'm really looking forward to the matchup between Mo'unga and Foley here, the two number 10s, both in pretty solid form. Mo'unga's been a real find this season, while Foley's really made the difference since he's come back, and that's really kicked the Waratahs into gear. Both these sides, the Crusaders obviously, they've come off that loss to the Highlanders in what was a very spirited and cracking match, and nothing to be taken away from the Crusaders side there. Waratahs, meanwhile, put the Bulls to the sword in an absolute demolition job and just looked far too strong, looked to be really finding their feet, and they'll certainly be a dangerous proposition here. I just can't see, they've got a less than 20% win record against the Crusaders. I mean, they do have the last win against them last year, but that was at ANZ Stadium in Sydney. They don't tend to win as many games over there, so I'm going to lean the Crusaders in this one. I think it's going to be a cracking contest. I think the boys in red will get done by a bit more than a try, but I think it'll still stay in that 1-12 margin. Second up on Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, Suncorp Stadium, the Reds host the Sunwolves. Well, these two sides haven't had the best of seasons. The Reds parted ways with their coach earlier in the year, while the Sunwolves, obviously in their first year of Super Rugby, are battling away, have managed to chalk their first win and now got a draw to their name as well. The Reds, they'll be without Carmichael Hunt. They welcome in Ayumu Goromaru to take on his countrymen, if you will, for the majority of that side for the Sunwolves. Sunwolves will be massively buoyed by confidence coming over to Suncorp Stadium, but they've had some issues on the road. I think that the travel will be a little bit too much for them, and I think the Reds will get this one done without blowing them away, so I think the Reds will go 1-12 here. Next up, the Chiefs and the Rebels, FMG Stadium, Waikato, Saturday 5:30 PM. Well, the Chiefs, they have got a pretty solid record, the best record of any team not sitting at the top of their conference at the moment, only 4 against, holding them out of that spot against the Crusaders. Rebels, on the other hand, they were there a couple of weeks ago, but have dropped 3 of their last 5 to now find themselves well off the pace. And I'm going to say that they're not really a shot now of making the finals unless an absolute miracle turns around, including probably a bonus point win here against the Chiefs. I'm looking for Aaron Cruden to really step up, drive this one home. Hopefully for the Chiefs, the Crusaders won't have picked up the bonus point, and they'll look to take the bonus point here, and that'll get them in front and the lead back of their conference. But I really think the New Zealand Conference, that home quarterfinal, is going to come down to the last week or two of this competition. It certainly won't be decided here. I think the Chiefs, as I said, led by Cruden, will be way too strong with their potent back line. I think they'll actually blow the Rebels off the park here. The Rebels will show some fight, especially in windows, but won't be able to hold with them for 80 minutes. So I'm going to get the Chiefs here, 13+. Alright, third on the card of cracking Saturday rugby, 7:45, NIB Stadium in Perth, the Force and the Blues. Two sides that are both battling away a little bit in their conference. The Blues have probably showed a bit more promise and are probably in a little bit tougher conference, let's be honest. They are coming off, the Blues, a pretty comprehensive loss over there in South Africa, and I think they'll be smarting, and Tanaramanga would have given them the rev up in the short turnaround to come back to Perth. The Force, on the other hand, they've got some real issues on both sides of the ball. Neither their attack nor their defence seems to be able to click together. And even when one of them is clicking, it's not really at the level it needs to be to consistently compete in Super Rugby, hence their lowly position on the ladder. I think the Blues, their sting from last week's result will be enough to sort of gel them back together. I expect this to be a fairly open encounter, and I think the Blues, led by Ohio West and Jerome Kano, will be too strong here, and they'll get this one done 1-12. Next up, Lions hosting the Jaguares, Emirates Airlines Park in Johannesburg, Saturday, 11 PM Eastern Time for the Australian fans. The Jaguares, have been a bit more impressive the last couple of weeks. They demolished the Kings, which isn't a massive feat in itself, but it was good for them considering how they were battling along. and they kept in the arm wrestle with the Sharks last week. They've been in the arm wrestle in 3 of their home games so far, but haven't been able to get the chocolates. They've got one bonus point as commiseration, if you will. They certainly need to be turning those into wins in the coming years if they're to become a competitive force in this competition, because that away travel for them is always going to be a tough one. The Lions, on the other hand, as alluded to before, absolutely demolished the Blues last week and looked to really kick back into gear. I think they'll get this one done here against the Jaguares. As I said, the Argentinians struggle a bit with travel, and they seem to be chopping and changing when they do travel. They'll line up a little bit. There hasn't been too much consistency there. So as such, I'm going to go for the Lions to go back-to-back with 13 plus wins at home. All right, Kings Park, Durban, the Sharks hosting the Kings. Sunday, 1 a.m, early hours for the Aussie fans. This could be absolutely anything. Last time they met, the Sharks weren't the best of their form and they won 43-8. I think that game against the Jaguares last week will really have galvanised their team. It was a solid win over in Buenos Aires and they'll be really kicking on. The Kings, well, what can you say? They've just got to try and stop the hemorrhaging as much as possible. I've got a real issue with them being in the competition, and not specifically them. I just don't think there's enough depth in South African rugby to really support 6 teams, and both themselves and the Cheetahs have felt the brunt of that. And as you can see by where all their teams sit compared with the strength of the New Zealand and even the Australian conference, certainly not the same ilk. So I think even where they stand has been artificially sort of bulked up a little bit by the number of games that they're playing against. The African teams are playing against Sunwolves and Jaguares on the road, respectively. Yeah, you'd be mad to go anything but the Sharks 13 plus here. I'd probably take the Sharks 33 plus here, to be honest. I expect they'll blow it out. They'll put a fair score on here, and wouldn't be surprised at all to see them break the 50 or 60 mark. All right, last on the card, we've got the Bulls and the Stormers, Loftus Versfeld, 3:15 a.m. Australian Eastern Time. The Bulls, they're coming off a pretty comprehensive loss, I'd say, to the Waratahs in Sydney. Didn't really look in that game and looked really weary. That's a real concern, I think, with the trip back to South Africa. The Stormers, on the other hand, they've got similarly a long trip back to consider how it was that they let the Sunwolves escape with a draw. They really should have blown them off the park with the lineup they've got. Really looking forward to the battle of the first and second fives here. Jean Serfontaine and Tian Schumann for the Bulls, and then for the Stormers, Jean-Luc Duplessis and Damien Dialende. These guys, really star strike players. They can take the ball to the line. They've got good kicking games. They've also got good playmaking and passing selections. They tend to take the good options most of the time. So certainly, yeah, it looks like a bumper matchup. And both those 12s can certainly hit as well. There's some able assistance that they'll be offered from their outside backs as well. Last time these two played, it was an absolute cracker. On the line this time is the top of the conference as well. I just think that this could really be crucial, because there's a good chance that there won't be a wild card out of this pool depending on results going forward over the next 5 weeks. So this could be really make or break with the draws that these two sides have got coming home. I think that the Stormers have just got too much of a strong lineup. The Bulls tend to rely on a few key players. Even with the home ground advantage, I think the Stormers will get this one done. I can't imagine there's going to be much in it, and it's certainly be worth dragging yourself out of bed for no matter what time zone you're in. So I'll be looking at the Stormers 1-12 in this one. Thanks again for tuning in to our Super Rugby preview. I hope you've been enjoying our other content available on our Facebook, our Twitter and our website. All the links are posted below. Have a look at those. Also check out Snapchat at CPMC87. Feel free to get behind it, comment, give me some feedback, let us know what you like, what you don't like. We've got a couple of loyal fans that are getting in there and certainly commenting and letting us know. Even giving me a rev up when it's not out as early as it might always be, which again, I apologise that this one's out late again. I have been away from the home base. Good luck with your team on the weekend. It's coming into the business end of the season. Enjoy the footy. Good luck on the punt, and thanks again.